What is your sense right now in terms of the growth rate in China and what is really going on with the Chinese economy?
Well, I think if you just look to the mistake that the Chinese made with Baosheng Bank back in May, prior to May, there was never a concern of credit risk or insolvency risk in the Chinese banking system. And in Baosheng's case, they ended up taking down and nationalizing a bank where they haircut interbank depositors by 30% and commercial depositors by 30%. So deposits started running from, let's say, the small regional banks to the big banks because that all of a sudden credit risk and insolvency risk was brought into the system. So you're seeing China print the slowest GDP growth numbers in 35 years.
Right.
You saw the July data that was amongst the worst we've seen. And now you have the banking system. They've taken down 3 banks since May. And the last one they took down was a few $100 billion. These are sizable banks.
The peer leadership seems particularly concerned in terms of at least trying to enter into significant discussions to get a trade deal hammered out that conceivably would benefit the economy.
Yeah, I think they're focused on waiting Trump out. And I think, look, we've been talking to the Chinese about trade since January of 2018. Look, we're in August of 2019 and we're still talking away. And so I think their MO is to try to wait Trump out and hope someone that's more pro-China comes in 2020.
Seems to be some unanimity politically on this issue, actually, interestingly.
There is.
Yeah.
And look, the presidential candidates like, Warren and then even the Democrats like Pelosi and Schumer and a few others have outflanked Trump to the right on China.
Yeah.
And they've really stepped into the human rights issue in Hong Kong and said we need to act in helping them preserve freedom and democracy and or forcing the Chinese to live up to another agreement they signed and have reneged on,
of course,
with the UK in 1984.
You just brought up Hong Kong. So, I mean, the situation appears to be a little more stable than the last time I spoke to you a few weeks ago. The currency has barely budged despite all the options bets and bets like yours against it. So do you still feel like this is sort of the spark that could ignite a bigger fire in China and in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think the Chinese view Hong Kong in a very different way than we do. We know it's their financial center. We know it's where they raise all their dollars. But the Chinese are more interested in their absolute control and having a popular uprising threatening the legitimacy of the Communist Party. So unlike in the U.S., the Chinese can think in non-economic terms, and they think in terms of power. And so I think when you look at 11 weeks of protests, and it's rumored that or estimated that 1.7 million people protested along with our friend Brian Sullivan in the rain this weekend. You've had 11 weeks of protests. The Chinese are boxed in. So I think it's a really important time to think about if you were in Hong Kong and you ran a business, would you be investing more CapEx in your business today? Would you be moving family members to Hong Kong or would they be moving away? This process takes a long time to move your life somewhere else. But if you read a number of articles that have come out recently are showing you that not only are the wealthy moving, but the middle class people are moving too.